Hi guys, this is Streamer Carlos. On today's video, I'm gonna give you, or I should say, This, this is going to be another test video, and here's why. This is going to be my first sports or ESPN 30 for 30 documentary review by ESPN/ESPN Plus, which is now on Disney Plus. And the first documentary that I'm gonna talk about is, of course, the the 1983 NCAA champions of the Wolfpack of NC State when they shocked the world, when they shocked the 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 world. The biggest underdog story, the Cinderella story that made us believe. So here we go, guys. Um, in this documentary, we get to hear from the actual squad about how Jimmy Valvano, a New Yorker, a tough New Yorker, an Italian New Yorker, an Italian New York New Yorker surviving advance. By the way, is the documentary called. And guys, back in 1983, the number of basketball teams that could get into the NCAA basketball men's tournament was 52, and not unlike today, which is up to 64, but Jimmy V changed the culture change the complexion of NC State, because first of all, he believed in the team, and the main player, the one that took them, the one player that took them to the promised land, or that got NC State their second title in their second NCAA men's basketball title in their history, was Lorenzo Charles. Tragically, Lorenzo Charles passed away. But I mean, if it wasn't for him and the other, and of course his teammates like Derek Whitburn and Terry Gannon and Thurman Bailey and Sidney Lowe and the rest, and of course the rest of Coach Valvano's staff, we wouldn't have the storybook ending that we know, and that some of you might not know and love. And here's how it happened. Back in the day. Well, in 1979, Derek Whitborn's cousin was part of the 1979 national championship team of NC State, and he wanted to get that feeling of being a champion just like his cousin. But for that to happen, he needed to get into a very prestigious program, high school program, basketball program, and he found that program in the math at the math high school, where the great Morgan Wooden, who was a great basketball coach, who was a savant, according to for high school basketball. He taught his team hard work, and basically they destroyed everyone, their competition. And this is where Derek Whitmore met Sidney Love, and Morgan Wooden put Derek Whitmore and, of course, Sidney Lowe in their back court to make a bomb, or a dynamic bomb duo. And when Derek Whitmore and Sidney Lowe graduated from the Matha High School, they went to NC State. NC State. But this is where they met. Both of them met Thurl Bailey, who was tall and very, very physical. He was tall, and they brought him in. They surrounded him with a bro hug, meaning that they welcomed Thurl Bailey, just like Thurl Bailey did the same thing for them, for both of them. And at the time that Sidney Lowe and Derek Whitmore met Thurl Bailey, their NC State's basketball coach was going to coach them, but then the NC State coach that was going to coach them their freshman year got an offer from Florida. So their coach got his head coaching job at Florida, but the rumor was the Wolfpack rumor mill was flying around with the rumor that Morgan Wooden was going to leave the Matha High School to be the next NC State basketball coach. And of course Derek Whitmore and Sidney Lowe and Thurl Bailey and everyone else on the team were excited. But then Morgan Wooden decided to not take the job at NC State and become their next head coach. He decided that he was going to stay at the Matha High School. But when all hope was lost, a New Yorker named Jimmy Valvano, and I know, how could an Italian American New Yorker be in North Carolina? Well, Well, that was a total. That was the thing. You might think that the head coach of NTC should be someone from the south or from the south or some from the ACC, which is which is the Atlantic Coast Conference, or for short, the ACC. But Jimmy V Jimmy Valvano looked the part. He again, he was from New York, but they but the first in his first press conference, his introduction press conference, he dressed up like a game show host, a game show host, according to Derek Whitmore, and at this point, everyone on the team was like, were like, how is this game show host look guy from New York going to mold our team and take us to a national championship? Well, here's how he did it. By belief. Jimmy believed that he had the special sauce, that he had the special barbecue sauce within the team. He did this. Jimmy V instilled in the team that I believe that we will win. We will win the national championship game. So much that Jimmy V had an exercise. The team one by one would cut the net, would cut the basketball net, would climb up a ladder, just like they do, just like every team does ever since then, or ever since the NCAA tournament has done since its inception. So anyway, Jimmy V instilled by each player cutting the net of their of the net. They started to believe the words of Jimmy V. And with that belief, with that extra oomph of belief, the team, Sidney Lowe, Lorenzo Charles, or Lorenzo, Sidney Lowe, Thorough Bailey, and the rest of the team started to say to themselves, "Hey, this guy, this Italian New York, this Italian tough guy from New York might have something might do this. We might do this with them." And one thing that Jimmy V also had was great mom and dad. A great mom and dad. Rocco Balvano and Mr. Rocco Valvano and his mother, Mrs. Valvano. And the one thing the one thing that the one gift that Jimmy V was given by his father is that no matter what team he would lead to the NCAA tournament, he would Mr. Rocco Valvano would fill up his suitcase and say to his son, I know you will become with whatever team you coach. I know you will go to the NCAA tournament, and I'll be there. I already have my suitcase packed. When you get there, I'll be there. We will go together, separate but together, in different cars, but I'll be there. Your mom and I will be there. And that's the extra belief orange juice that Jimmy V imprinted into the team. Of course, by the time that Jimmy V had become NC State's coach, Derek and Sidney Lowe and Thurl Bailey were already in their final year. We're in their final year of the tournament, final year of school. They were seniors, and the last chance that they would get to be national champions with the team would be in 1983. And the Atlantic Coast Conference wasn't easy. Unlike today in college sports, unlike today, student athletes didn't leave college early. Didn't leave college early to go to the pros in their particular sport. Back in the day, the student athletes stayed for 4 years. Stayed for all 4 years. Unlike today, it made the rivalries more intense and more awesome to watch. It made the fluidity and awesomeness of the game better. It made rivalries better. It made dunks better. It made 3-pointers better. Which in fact the 3-point line was going to be instituted or put in instated in the court as part of the game for the first time ever, and the 3-point line has stayed in the game of college basketball ever since then. But NC State was going to have a difficult road because again, the rivalries were better in the ACC overall. The teams were better, but the rivalries were even more intense. Plus, the team was wiser, was better, better each year. But like I was saying, NC State was going to have a difficult path. And for the past 3 years, before 1983, Jimmy V and the Wolfpack were getting eliminated. Were getting eliminated in the first either in the first round or in the second round. But they never, either in the round of 64 or the round of 32. And their regular season record for the past years before 1983, it wasn't good, but they were good enough to make it in, but not quite there at the level, not quite there to get themselves into the awesome soup of the tournament. And again, the competition, and again the ACC was not, and to get to the tournament, NC State had to go through Ralph Sansom, the ultimate, the giant, the beanstalk, the giant at Virginia, MJ, Michael Jordan, and the rest of his teammates in Tar Heel country, North Kakalaki, their triangle neighbor, their second triangle neighbor, of course, with Duke, and of course, North Carolina had as their head coach Dean Smith. And I mean, yeah, but anyway, in their first, like, in their first matchup with Ralph Sansom, and his fellow Cavaliers, Derek Whitmore was on fire. He had 27 points in their first quarter alone. But tragically for Whit, at the beginning of the second quarter, just like the first quarter, he was utilizing the newly implemented 3-point line. But tragically, in the first couple minutes of the second quarter against Ralph Sansom and his fellow Cavaliers, Whit was in the corner, was in the left corner, and he did his thing. He did a 3-point shot, but when he landed, he rolled his ankle, which in short, guys, was diagnosed as a high ankle sprain, and he was ruled out. The rumor was that he was going to be ruled out for the rest of the season. But in a Wolfpack type of miracle, in a Wolfpack Jimmy V fighting style miracle / Rocky miracle, Whit came back. But but Witt expected that the team would rally would rally and be and would have a better record when he came back. But no, they got beaten by other easy like not easy teams to beat, but easy teams to win against. And after losing to one of their easy win teams that they were supposed to win against, Witt just blew a Wolfpack gasket and had a only team meeting, and where he told every staff member of the team, even Jimmy V, even Jimmy Valvano, to get out of the locker room. And Witt started to say, I didn't come back from my rolled ankle to lose. This is my final year. I want my team. I want to win, and I know you do too. Guys, we need to win. Come on. And after that wonderful speech, heated speech, NC State were beating ever since that speech that Witt gave to the whole team. NC State started to win good wins by not big margins, but still win, or by 1 point or by 2 points. But at this point the record, NC State record was good. But the only way that they could get into the ACC tournament is by winning. The only way that they could get into the NCAA tournament is by winning their conference tournament, which was the ACC tournament. And every time that they would win by the smallest of margins, or by not a biggest margin but still big, by a small but big margin, like a medium margin, they would advance to the next round. But again, the big prize would be to go to the NCAA tournament and become champs. But the only way that they could do that is by winning the whole darn cake, meaning the ACC tournament, and they would face a familiar rival, Ralph Sansom, and again, Ralph Sansom was pretty. He was stone cold Steve Austin mad. He was stone cold. He was mad as the Undertaker. Mad as the Undertaker. Just like mad as the Undertaker fans. Just like when we saw him lose his streak at WrestleMania 30. And yes, Ralph Sampson was mad. But when all hope was lost, when Ralph and the Cavaliers were dominating, uh, were dominating in the ACC finals. The ACC finals, the ACC finals. Jimmy V did his magic touch. Magic did his magic salt. Did his magic spaghetti sauce. He told the team. Our focus is to win. But to win, we need to suffocate Ralph Sampson. And here's how we're gonna do it: by trapping him. We're going to cover him with a trap, which means two in the backcourt. I think, guys, you can check me on the trap on the trap. One guy in the backcourt with him, while the other two cover him or suffocate him in the front if he tries to go forward. And they did just that. And they did just that. They did just that. They did just that. And Ralph Sampson and the Cavaliers were defeated and beaten, and that's how NC State got into the tournament, got into the NCAA tournament, which again, no one thought was ever going to happen, especially with Jimmy Valvano, a guy from New York. It had never been done. That a guy from New York, instead of someone from North Carolina as their head coach, whatever. It was a dream come true. But again, the road would be tough. The road to Santa Fe, yes. The road to Albuquerque. For the NCAA tournament, for the national men's basketball title game was going to be tough. Now, I'm pretty sure that back in the day in 1983, just like we see today, the teams, all 64 teams, were split into regions. But again, so NC State went to Pepperdine, which is a wonderful institution in California. A fancy institution in California. And again, NC State had naysayers because again, Pepperdine was at a different level than NC State, because one of their players, Pepperdine's players, was an 80% free thrower, 80% free thrower, or something like that. Which again, I'm sorry that I can't remember. Which again, I can't remember the guy's Pepperdine star player's name, but anyway. Pepperdine had this awesome 80% free thrower of a player that never missed. Until he did. Until he did. And before that free star player, free thrower, 80% free thrower, had missed, the bench, the Pepperdine bench the Pepperdine player bench were like to NC State and Witt and the rest of the guys that they were saying, it's done. You're done. You're going home. You're going home. But again, their star free 80% free thrower player missed a critical free throw. And the one thing, and another philosophy that Jimmy V gave his Wolfpack is, it's not how much or how long or how big the lead is that our opponents have on us. It's the matter of if we hang in there and just hang in there and stay close to the score and stay close, we have a chance. And they did. NC State defeated Pepperdine. Which, again, the naysayers were saying Pepperdine is a much better team than NC State. Because again, NC State had a very deceiving regular season record, and even though that they defeated Ralph Sansom, and they basically won the ACC tournament, they still were getting people were like, no, this is NC State is going to become cream. NC State is going to become cream corn. They're going to get cream, but every time NC State was doubted, and Jimmy V's game plan was doubted, NC State was able to hang around and stay around. Stay around and hang around in the game. They never quit. They never basically, even though that their opponent's lead was getting bigger and bigger and so on, they were able to hang and stick to their opponent's score, or get close to the score like a piece of gum, until they found a gutsy way to win each game. But eventually NC State got to the Final Four, which again they surprised their naysayers. They surprised the naysayers. They surprised us as a nation. But they got to the Final Four. But they had a freight train. They had a Bugatti. They had a Ferrari coming towards them to run them over. And that Bugatti /Ferrari DeLorean with a flux capacitor of a nitro turbo was the Houston Cougars, who had defeated their second place in scoring partners, because the Houston Cougars were the best high scoring team. They were the number one high scoring team in the tournament and in the regular season. But Louisville was in second place. And by the way, Houston had great players, future NBA Hall of Famers, Hakeem Olajuwon, Clyde Drexel, Benny Evers, and Houston was called Five Slamma Jamma, which was basically five dominating players, and he slam dunked everyone into the ground, every team. But again, Louisville was in second place for nothing. They were in second place because they were the second highest scoring team in the regular season and / tournament. And let me tell you guys, the game between Louisville and Houston was a good one, even though I wasn't there. But I already saw this documentary, and I love it. But the game was so hyped up and so fueled with Ferrari fuel that it was a great game, and eventually Houston won, and they carved their way. They found a loophole in Louisville's awesome team to meet up or to go against NC State. And again, by this time, NC State were like the team to meet NC State with Cindy Lowe and Thurl Bailey and the rest of the team and the rest of the staff were like, wow. Houston is a very powerful team, and the player that they focused on was Hakeem Olajuwon. That was the big target for NC State. If we trap him, if we get him, if we focus on him, we might have a chance. And they did. And one critical play made by Terry Gannon, who is currently and still is commentating in figure skating for the Olympics, I think, with Johnny Weir and Tara Lipinski. Terry did something incredible. He basically got run over and got creamed by Clyde Drexel, as Clyde was flying after getting a turnover in transition, and again, Clyde was flying across the court to get to the basket, and Terry was blocking his way, was blocking Clyde's way to the basket, and the only way that Clyde could get to the basket is by dunking on poor Terry. So Terry did the only thing that he could think of. He grabbed onto Clyde's legs to prevent him from dunking him to the ground with the basketball. But Clyde thought it was going to be a defensive foul on NC State. But in a twist of Wolfpack fate, the referee called the foul on Clyde himself, and Clyde was beside himself. He was throwing a chair, figuratively speaking, at the referee. Hakeem Olajuwon was breathing heavily, wearing an oxygen mask because he was out of breath because of the height and altitude where New Mexico, or Albuquerque is on the map of New Mexico, which again, altitude played a big part. So with Clyde out, thanks to Terry's funny and dumb move, but saving move at the same time, NC State had a chance. But again, then the game. At this point, the game was about to be over. It was. I think it was a 1-point lead. A 1-point lead in favor of Houston. You guys can check me on that. Until Witt did his three Hail Mary 3-point shot, and it looked like it was going in, but it didn't. But wait, Witt's 3-point shot didn't go in, but it hit the rim, and at the last second, Lorenzo Charles, before any Houston defender could get to the ball or could grab the ball to end the game, Lorenzo tipped it in. And that's how this wonderful and amazing Cinderella story of a team, coached by a New Yorker named Jim Valvano, became champions. But tragically, that wasn't the end of this amazing. But tragically, this is not the end, because after after 1983, Jimmy V Jimmy V was accused of paying paying not staff but paying university faculty members like teachers to bump up bump up his players grades so they could play games, which was which was which was proven to be true, which was sadly proven to be true in some cases, and that of course led to Jimmy V's awesome coaching career to come to an end at NC State. At NC State. At NC State. And he was forced to resign. And he was forced to resign. But then years later, Jimmy V joined ESPN as one of their college football analysts. But then Jimmy V got the sad news that he got, but tragically Jimmy V got the news that he had stage four stage 4 cancer, and it was spreading fast. By this time, Witt and the rest of the team couldn't believe that Coach V was diagnosed with stage 4 with the type of stage 4 cancer. Which again, guys, you can check me on the type of cancer that Jimmy V had. And everyone, Sidney Lau, Thurl Bailey, Witt, Terry, and the rest of the team were like, Coach is going to beat Coach V is going to beat it. Going to beat it. Just like he told us. Just like he told us to hang in every game. Survive and advance. If we survive, we advance. But tragically, Jimmy V didn't. He put one meatball of a fight, one big meatball of a fight, but something good came out of his death. The Jimmy V Foundation, which is a foundation named after Jimmy V himself. That does research to end cancer, any type of cancer as we know it. And of course, before his death, Jimmy V gave one of the greatest speeches in NSB history. the never give up speech. And guys, if I highly recommend, besides highly recommending this documentary on Disney Plus or on ESPN Plus, if you don't have the Disney Plus bundle, besides the documentary Survive in Advance, I think if you guys have YouTube or you know or YouTube TV or whatever video or any YouTube twin app that you have at your disposal, you should check out Jimmy V's SB speech. With that being said, guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for watching. Remember to leave a like and never give up. Bye.